Okay, thanks, Derek. I'm just briefly going to go through about 5 slides just to give you an overview of the Microsoft BI stack, where it is the 2010. They've made quite a lot of enhancements to 2010. It's really come together. I'm going to focus from a business perspective why adopt the technology platform in comparison to other tools that are out there at the moment. So, a lot of my engagement with customers is around the SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2007, and now the 2010 platform. These are the key workloads that come across that. One element that we're going to focus on today is BI reporting and analysis. So there's certain elements to that. Performance point services that we're going to demonstrate, Bob's going to walk through. Dashboards, scorecards, and using them in online capability. We talk about Excel services. We'll talk around that. There's a difference between Excel services and what I mentioned there is Power Pivot. Power Pivot lets you very briefly do ad hoc cubing within Excel. So you can connect between 2 databases, link them together, and manage a lot of data inline memory management. So you can have 100 million rows plus, manage that in Excel 2010, and push out a very strong report. If you don't need to do that and you have your cube built already, then you can actually use Excel services and connect directly through the cube to the data sources. So that's just a high level, just distinguishing the both. Visio services, and we have a nice example of this is a new element in SharePoint 2010 on the BI platform. So it's looking at BI, but looking at it through a different method of consuming that. So if you can think of a manufacturing process and you try to improve that process, and as it's moving through each stage, you actually want analytics that you want to match against that stage. An example we're going to show actually is going to be a comms room. So you see a map of the world, you link in through a comms room, you can see actually where in the server where that issue is, and you can link that back into, say, system centers or a tool like that. Power Pivot I mentioned already, and web analytics will actually provide you with, if you think about web analytics and you want to look at a dashboard, but you want to change the view of that on the fly from your website. So you can actually right-click and change the chart, how it's presented, and you might want to use what's called a decomposition tree and funnel down through your information that way. And we have examples of that as well. So what is the BI 2010 stack? Very simply, it's 3 core components to it. We have SQL Server 2008 or 2, we have Office 2010, and we have SharePoint 2010. What we find with a lot of customers when we engage with them, they actually already are licensed for this, or they have a portion of the license. So they may have SQL Server in place, SharePoint 2010, they may have an earlier version of Office. So your adoption to move up to this platform is quite easy to engage with it. And I should make a point, around Office 2010, that's only actually if you're building the reports using Excel services or Power Pivot. It's not actually if the users are consuming them, they don't actually need that on the desktop, which is good to consider. I suppose at this stage, we've come across competes quite a lot these days because with the latest platform, Microsoft is definitely at a level now where it's competing with the likes of Cognos and Oracle reports. So we're definitely seeing that compete. And why is Microsoft winning the competes and the platform winning the competes? It's all down to cost. So you've already got these through your eCloud, your license agreement with Microsoft, and you might have to extend it a bit. But compared to buying into Cognos and recording license fees from Oracle, etc. per annum, compared to the stack that you have already in use. So with the BI approach here, and really what we're saying, at this bottom level, your data sources. So where are we taking the information from? So we got Oracle, we got IBM, we got Siebel, we got SAP. The connectors are already there within SQL integration services. So you can already access that data, the connectors are there, you can bring it in, which is quite a valid point. So that's really just to demonstrate, and then how do we want to bring out and present their reports using the different tool sets that we have and the authoring tools, and then we're going to present in a familiar environment, be it through internet, or you may click into something, a nice dashboard that's been displayed, and you want to save that out into PowerPoint and present at a meeting. You can do that on the fly as well, or you might want to consume and present through Excel. So it's quite a comprehensive platform. So very briefly, I'm just going to give, in terms of as an example deployment, I'll just take retail sales, for example. So if we took Primark and all the stores they have around Ireland, and if we just think about the feeds that are coming into it, that they're working on to do their daily sales or their weekly sales report. Point of sale systems, so grabbing actual CSV dumps on a nightly basis, and actually grabbing that information, here's my daily sales transactions, and also what's my current stock level reports. grabbing that from CSVs, grabbing, there could be a marketing campaign or a 6-week marketing campaign if they buy this product and that product and they're combined together, and relate that into your BI model as well, because you want to see how that's actually working. And then we've actually got a product catalog that's actually linking from your CSV files. That's actually what's selling, so it's linking to the actual product. So we bring that and extract it and transform it into a staging database. And this is really the core element, and then we're pushing into a centralized data warehouse, and we're going to build out a cube. So what is the cube actually doing for me? So you might see that you'll have 3 or 4 different systems up here in your own environment, but they're all operating with their own different relational databases, and it's all separate. So the cube actually, and they're, as well, they're optimized for transactions. So the transactional-based systems, and that's how the relationship is working. When you bring it into a data warehouse, there's still separate data sources, but all in one source. So now we're actually going to build out a cube and start relating them to each other. Okay, so you might say, for the retail sales cube, is in relation to products is a central point, and I want to see everything that's being processed for that product. And now we're going to build out from that cube. We're going to connect using reporting tools, the Excel 2010 report builder, and you may need Power Pivot if you want to connect to the cube, and then maybe connect to another source, and we'll go through that later on. And then we want to publish out. SharePoint 2010 is now the presentation layer and the security layer. So Performance Point Server, for example, used to be a separate element. It's now services that's laid on top of SharePoint. So SharePoint is the platform if you want to consider the latest version of the technologies. And now we're going to push out and build reports and have people access the key reports from there. So on my left-hand side is corporate BI. On my right-hand side is self-service BI. And these are the kind of 2 examples we're going to go through on the different variances today. So pretty quick, we've got balanced scorecards and KPIs. The balanced scorecard element is around 4 different key areas of your business, and then you want to drill down from that and look at the KPIs below that. But at an executive level, you might just want to see the 4 key KPIs. That's all that I'm concerned about. But at the departmental level, you want to see specific to your area, and that's what can be provided. There's other areas around here. This is the web analytics piece where you can actually go and change what chart is being displayed on the fly and actually drill down from that chart. The geospatial mapping, this does have some relevance, and I can see this growing in the marketplace, whereby if you could, a company that's expanding, such as Primark, into Europe, and they have places in Spain, Portugal, and they've grown into these areas, and they want to see how are they performing. So they'll have a map, and they'll have a heat map, and they click into Spain, and on the right-hand side they'll see the stores, and they might click down into that. So it gives very rich information at a senior level. Just to close, myself and Bob, we had a few conversations this week of how to, what's the business reasons for corporate BI? Not the technical considerations, but what are the business reasons and why you should, is for adopting it. So, a flexible single view of business at an executive level. So we're talking about, really this is, you might be getting monthly report packs, weekly report packs that you're distributing, and you might be putting them on people's desks or putting them up onto a file share or even on SharePoint, but you're distributing a lot of documentation, okay? So this is flipping it on its head and actually looking at scorecards and dashboards and drilling down from the information. So I want to see a summary view, and then I want to drill down from that. So it's just turning how you're actually accessing the information. An over-reliance on IT for information, this is very much, and this is a frustration on both parts. So you might actually see that departments are frustrated with IT that they're not receiving the reports all the time, and IT are getting the frustration that they're receiving all these requests and they can't deal with them in a timely manner. And that actually leads on to our next point, which is people then get frustrated with it, so they start building out reports within Excel. So you do a screen grab, or you get a CSV dump on the database and grab that file, bring it into Excel and start manipulating that. And then all of a sudden that turns into your weekly reporting process. It's not very compliant, and it's very ad hoc, and it ends up being actually dependent on one person or 2 people within that department. A single version of the truth, and lots of data silos. So I've seen an example of this myself in a telco company, whereby the sales team were reporting back to senior management that 27,000 subscribers had signed up onto the network. What actually they didn't see was that 13,000 of them could not be ported onto that network. So it was only when we actually built out a BI dashboard and presented to executive management through the web they were actually seeing that the 27,000 to 13,000 weren't being fulfilled. However, sales were paid on the 27,000. So it's a real enough example where it actually happens. You get different sides of the truth coming from different departments, as opposed to have IT centrally controlled as being pushed through our finance. Bob, you have a similar example when we talked about yesterday around in the healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with a customer in the healthcare sector where they'd merged a lot of hospitals, and they now had something like 20 active directory structures and 400 line of business systems, each with patient information in it. So you imagine the challenges if someone walks into hospital and you say, what have we done with this patient? You know, absolute nightmare.
Yeah. And it is quite a common occurrence, so it is getting that single version of the truth. Another scenario I'm sure you'd comment is current MI platforms are not flexible enough and not standardized. One example we see of this a lot is actually when finance packages getting implemented and you're actually buying the reporting package that comes with the finance solution. So it's very much for that area. It's not connecting to other data sources, so there's no data warehouse. So you just see it in different areas. So and another tool is bought, and you're actually buying these reporting modules on top of each product, as opposed to having a centralized platform. So let's just talk through some of the reasons for going with corporate BI. We're going to go through the corporate BI. Actually, we'll do some live demonstrations. I'm going to hand over to Bob now.
Cool.